Okay. Welcome back to the House of Legends, where great women become exceptional. I am your host, Graciela, and in today's podcast, we have an amazing, amazing woman. She's not new in the house. She's coming back. Her name is Jenna Black. Jenna, I do consider her that she's not only a mentor, coach, guide, she is more than that. She is a channel. She is a woman of power that she is now leading a new paradigm where she's inviting powerful women to not only to create amazing businesses and live a life of wealth, but also to see what is beyond. One of the things that I was mentioning to Jenna before press record is that when I check her live work, I was just like really diving into her live work, and what caught my attention, and she has different containers, so we can call it that way, is one of the methods that she get to use where she's not only bringing the or focusing in one area in the business, let's say branding or a strategy, she actually takes a holistic approach. She takes in consideration every single part. And I know for experience that when we are coming from this place, the things that we get to create or message, the pricing, the way that we get to lead, change, and people immediately reflect that to us. With that being said, Jenna, I know like we mentioned before, you are not new in the house. You are one of the amazing legends. But if you can introduce yourself real quick and then we can dive into the topic.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me, Graciela. So good to connect again and come back for a second conversation. I am so thrilled and honored. And yeah, my name is Jenna Black. I'm Australian, if you can hear from my accent. I'm a mother of two little kids as well as a CEO, running my global coaching and empowerment company. And we have the House of Woman of Wealth. So within that, we invite women into their internal state of wisdom, their internal power and ability to create wealth on every level from within. And we then help them translate that energy and that identity into businesses and projects and career moves that grow and expand into rippling into the world and really being of service to the world. So I work with my clients around both their business strategy, the energetics of their business, but really who they are as a woman, that identity, that standard that they carry for themselves, and really calling them into occupying and moving from their divine power, their divinity. So yeah, it's absolutely rewarding work, and I'm thrilled to be here and having this conversation with you.
And I really, when I was listening to you while you were sharing who you are, uh, I think I truly believe that every single one of the women that are about to listen to this podcast, they can immediately feel, even if they don't seeing this via YouTube, they can immediately feel you, immediately feel the embodiment that you're coming from a place of truly alignment. And I think more than ever, we do require to us, it doesn't matter in what area we are in what field, we're required to step into the embodiment. I think that is key for every single thing. We can have the best strategy, we can have the best graphics, but if I call it, if the spirit is not there,
Mm.
it's not going to work out in the way that you want. We can try to force, we can try to do more things, but at one moment, we're going to arrive to this place where we have to be really true with ourselves and seeing that the biggest part of the one of the most important keys, which is ourselves, is not fully into the game. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm bringing this as well because, as we mentioned before, you have an amazing method, which is the Woman of Wealth trifecta, and
Mm-hmm.
like we remark, right there you have three elements, and I would love if you can touch on every single one of them because,
Yeah.
like I said, 2025 and even before, we are entering into a new paradigm in a new era, and not only because I see this like new era, new paradigm. This is not only coming from my nice words, but this is the this is a step for the next level that we are actually being activated or calling
Mm.
into, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely a new consciousness that we're being invited into, especially women like you and I who are in this world and doing the work and doing the inner work to, you know, come into our power, but also see what our legacies are and why we're here in this world. And so, yeah, the Woman of Wealth Trifecta Method has been developed over many years, and it's at this current iteration, there are 3 elements to it. And what I always bring my clients into first, which is always step 1, is what I call God self strategy. So this is really harnessing and coming into our highest divine power. I believe that we are all elements of divine energy, and that we all have access to that source frequency within us. It is who we are, and we are the embodiment of that. And for me, my invitation for my clients is always to bring them into their own internal state of conviction, safety, knowing, wisdom. And this is where the Woman of Wealth brand was born, because a woman of wealth is a woman that creates wealth within. She manifests on every level from within. She is that point of power. And so when we look at the trifecta, we start with God self strategy, because it's really spirit first. So many people, I think, have it the other way around. We're always thinking, what do I need to do to create more sales? Or what should I do to improve my strategy? And that's powerful. These are powerful questions to ask. Yet in the work that I create with my clients, we go to spirit first. And when we go to our divinity first, and we actually tap into our infinite being, and we tap into the quantum field where all is created, then there is an immediate shift in who we choose to be, in how we see ourselves. And that leads me to the second piece of the trifecta, which is the identity. And I like to call it the luxury identity, because women often step into my world and there is a call to move in a new way, a call to embody a frequency of abundance, of love, of heart-filled energy, not just for us, for our families, but for the world. And so as we move from that higher strategy that directs everything, that spiritual strategy leaning down and directing into our lives, then we start to shift our identity. I work with my clients in this way around how they see themselves and what their dominant beliefs are, their dominant perception of themselves, and how they choose to express that into the world. And this is where a lot of the embodiment takes place, which I know that you work with your clients in so deeply too, is really feeling that this is who I am and this is who I choose to be, and coming into that full power within that I can create and command my reality. And so this is where we really start to play in a lot of the manifestation work that I do with my clients, but things happen very quickly as well. And as we were saying right at the start, as you were sharing, like once we come into that, people feel it, right? Our clients respond. Yeah. And this is where I've seen it time and time again in my own experience attracting clients over the years, but with walking beside my clients as they attract their clients in, is embodiment first. When we embody our true identity, when we embody and own our gifts and our value, and we see ourselves as that high value woman, our people feel that. And in my world, we really do a lot of clearing of ego, so that actually it's just your pure soul energy speaking through your brand, through your message, through who you are, and people feel that there's a resonance and a connection. And so when we're in that part of the trifecta, there's a lot of increase in sales happening. There's a lot of, looking at how do we want to bring this identity into our brands? What identity do we want to have in our businesses, in our offerings? What do we stand for? And so I really love that element, because it's where I start to see my clients move in a new frequency and hold a higher standard for themselves. And then the third piece, to kind of give you the whole picture there, is what I call the $1 million message. So I actually have a background in writing, copywriting. I've been writing as a freelance writer for 20 years. I started when I was 17. And so it's interesting because I pushed that part of my life away for so long. And then I started to realize this is actually such a gift to be able to support my clients in channeling in from their higher self, their message. What is their message that they are here to bring to the world? And I call it the $1 million message. It has a duality to it. Yes, we're going to create multiple 7 figures through your work and through your core message that you're here to share. But it also is here to spread to millions of people. And I love to see it in that way, that when we tap into the bigger legacy and the bigger ripple effect of our work. And so in that part of the trifecta, we're really looking more at then the strategy of creating powerful messaging in our content, in our sales. But again, it's always coming back from spirit first, from identity, and then into the steps that we take in our business. So that's the whole picture for you.
It is so powerful, and I would love to go back to every single one of
Yes,
the steps, or if I can call it the steps, or parts of
sure.
the trifecta. And this is one of the like when I saw that, I was just like, what is it all about? You mentioned God's self strategy. And when we talk about that, people can call it universe source, but I call it God. When we understanding that we are connected to this source, that we are not here doing the things alone, we are here co-creating. It's like
Mm.
I don't know if it's like a remove like so much weight from our shoulders. I feel it in that way.
Yes,
But
yes.
sometimes there's so much conditioning taking place that we don't feel, and you mentioned some powerful words. We don't feel safe. Sometimes we don't
Mm,
feel that certainty. We
mm,
can understand this consciously, but it's a big difference to understand this at the deepest of our being. Feeling
mm,
really safe, feel and supported from a force, from a source that we know that we are connected. One of the things
mm.
I love, if you can mention here, um, when a woman comes to your world and she has the understanding, because I know you are attracting amazing women that are thriving. One of the things as well that I said to my clients, or that I like the people that I get to attract, I'm not here to fix, I'm not here to attracting people that
Yeah.
are in the struggle. You're doing amazing. What we are here
Hmm.
co-creating, and it's helping,
Yes.
it's just highlighting the things that are maybe perhaps we are having a different perception of what is true for of
Right.
when it comes to our soul. But
Mm,
when a woman comes to you, how you how you help her to internalize this part,
mm,
integrate this.
mhm. Yes, of the God self. Yes. And it's something that I get asked a lot because to me it's not something that is instant, but
Mhm.
actually it also can be instant. There's like this sort of interesting energy to it because so many people think, oh, I have to go through all these steps or move through layers of healing to access that. But it's
Yeah.
who we are. It's a state of being.
Mhm.
And that's the instant reconnection to it. So really when I'm working with a client initially and she's coming into this energy, often the very first thing we're doing is we're quietening everything outside of her. So there is a big clearing of other people's beliefs, other people's
Oh,
opinions, and really, really clearing collective energy. I do work as a channel, so I'm bringing in a lot of information for clients as well. But the very first thing is making sure that we are creating a pristine and clear energy field within her. Because when you actually release other people's ideas, emotions, thoughts, patterns, and you come back internally as a woman of wealth, this is what it's all about. You reconnect and you remember, I am
yeah.
source frequency. And it's these moments of stillness and quietness that we actually bring her into initially. And that's one of my favorite ways to start with a client is to really quiet down. I do have a practice when I'm working privately with clients where I bring them in to meet God self, and that is always life-changing for them. And there is a deep resonance and connection and remembrance. So it is instant, and then that's also this daily, I call it the daily micro steps that compound, right? And the more that we actually experience ourselves moment to moment through the words that we speak, through the decisions we make as divine energy in motion, and we really harness everything that's coming forward out of our mouths, the decisions we make, the choices we're choosing, when we really see everything with intentionality, and if we choose to move from that highest frequency, it absolutely changes over time, and you will see that ripple effect of it and the compounding effect. And so the very first thing is always to quiet the noise, quiet the collective energy. I come in and I take my clients through a practice of meeting God self, and then it is that daily embodiment of how do you connect in? For me, it's always coming through the heart portal first. It's always just a remembrance of who I really am. And because I've been doing this for years, it does come naturally now. So there's different techniques I use with different clients depending on their background as well, because others do need a little bit more time to sort of release conditioning and programming. But I think, as you said, we're not here to fix anyone because everybody is already in divine energy. And so it's just a remembrance. It's a remembrance of who we really are.
I think this is one of the most powerful parts, I will say. And yeah, of course, the identity and also the million dollar messaging, or when it comes to our businesses. But one of the things that I remember from our first podcast is that you were mentioning, and this is so, I mean, when I was, when you mentioned that in our first conversation, I was just mind blowing because it's simple, but it was really powerful. And I have to say that shift, you allow me to shift so many things. and I have to
Oh, thank you.
there, because you said, and you mentioned in this first step as well, when we are reconnecting, or actually we're always connected, but when we are actually sitting quiet and start to removing what are the things, the parts that we maybe we borrow from someone else, or we
Hmm.
have it from the collective, is when we truly can feel what is the truth
Hmm.
for ourselves, and we have that deeper connection. And one of the tools that you mentioned in the other podcast is asking yourself, is this thought is even mine? Is this
Hmm.
coming from me, or is coming from somebody else? And I think this is important to enhance here, because many of us, many of the people that are listening to this podcast are women that maybe are healers, life workers,
Yeah.
mentors, coaches. And we can sometimes get entangled with our clients so much that after that,
Yes.
having that conversation with the client, without even knowing. And this is one of the things
Hmm.
that happened to me. I was still with this thing of my mind after 3 or 4 hours. It's like, what's going on? I'm entangling with my client. I'm
Mm.
for the conversation, and I was not able to just close the conversation right and then. And I was grabbing some thoughts, or even from family members or some opinions.
Yeah.
One of the most recent ones, I will say, a couple of months ago, I found myself in this kind of Mm, I'm not gonna mention stock, because we're never stuck. I was, of course, attending clients and all that, but I found myself like literally thinking for a couple of days, literally like in this mindset of limitation. I was like, what is going on? And I was recalling back the questions, and I was like, is this even mine? No, it's
Hmm.
not. And immediately, like a shot, like a screenshot, came the image of one of my family members that she always says that. And I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
acting in that place. And I'm a manifestor. I was just getting really fucking angry. I was like, oh my God, what am and
Yeah.
now actually thank you, God, because now I'm aware
Yeah.
and I can choose different, but it's so easy to grab thoughts or energy that is not coming even
Yeah.
from us, and letting those letting those act like as lenses. And when we don't fully acknowledge this, we can just enter into containers or making decisions that are not fully aligned with ourselves. So
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm a very big believer in clearing our energy and harnessing our own sovereignty because I came from my whole childhood, most of my adult life really to this point was absorbing other people's ideas and beliefs and not really feeling connected to myself. And that's why when this work started coming through for me, it was always energetics first. And I'm such a deep believer, and I create this in my spaces too. I'm very intentional with pristine, clear energy so that my clients actually feel deeply tapped into their own power as they enter. And yeah, so there's so much that we could look at there, but I love that that stood out to you because it's something I have my clients ask themselves all the time. Is this mine or is this not? And straight
yeah.
away you realize, oh,
Oh,
99% of the time it's not. And then
yeah.
you can let that go. And that's when your field and your channel starts to really create clarity and spaciousness for your truth to come through. So,
Yeah. One of the things that I want to highlight as well, and comes from a client. Actually, I did have to let go one of my clients, and I was just like, "Why is going on?" And I was feeling, and I at first I thought it was just like, well, maybe it's the ego because I think I'm much or whatever. No, I was detecting, I was acknowledging that after having like a session with her, or maybe because I was not fully clean, I don't know. I was feeling
mhm.
really like I did have to have at least 1 day or 2 days after the sessions with her to feel really 110% myself.
Yeah.
What's
Mm.
going on? I was like, and I was like, maybe something about me, maybe it's not even about her. And I took the decision to let her go. And after that,
Yeah.
like, I feel like immediately
Light.
felt like, yeah, like,
Mm.
to breathe.
Yeah.
And this is the tricky part as well. Like, when we let someone go, like, after that, two clients just, I mean, there were no one-on-one, but they enter into group settings with me. Like, they send me the link. Are you still doing this? But because, and I'm not saying that if those were not available or those were not in my energy field before her, but when I became honest with myself and like this is doesn't feel
Yeah.
right, I'm gonna let
Yeah.
her go.
Mm-hmm.
When I did that, two women came into my world and they were really
Yeah.
fucking aligned or like trying
Yeah.
to they were really aligned with where I'm going, and I think that is so important as well to realize that there's some people that will grow with you, and there are people that will.
Yes.
That's okay.
Absolutely. And I've gone through that before, having to let clients go that are energetically not in alignment with where my work has evolved to. And I think we see that a lot. I see when women are on that level of expanding into a new level of income or leadership,
Yeah.
that there will be this clearing that happens. Like quite literally, clients can drop away or people will suddenly start unsubscribing, and you're thinking,
Yeah.
what's going on? But
I
it's
asked for more.
actually, yeah. And it's actually a sign of the new level of identity coming through. Because if you're saying this is the standard that I hold now, and this is how I value myself and my work and what I'm here to do, naturally, what's not in alignment with that will be released.
Yeah.
And I always say source moves really, really quickly as well. And we can
Yeah.
be a little bit shaken by it, but it's actually a good thing. So I love that story that you shared because that shows me that you're, on that level of expansion too.
Yeah, and sometimes it feels like, oh my gosh, like you mentioned, we're asking for more, we're asking for more clients, we are raising our prices. And when we see that reflection, it's like, wow, people are unsubscribing, people are saying no to me. And
Yeah.
I think right there is when we must reaffirm the new potency, the new identity.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter how the things looks on the exterior. And that is and I don't call it test or that God is actually like playing around. It's
No,
actually
no.
helping me to decide if I'm really ready to sustain the frequency despite of that the
Yeah,
responses or situations outside. And that is really
absolutely.
hard. And I think it's really important to have someone that, and this comes to mentorship of coaching, having someone that can help you not only to understand this, but can hold the frequency as well with you. And that
Yeah,
you're able to,
100%.
I call it estebala, is when you are able to become one with the frequency, because it's so easy
Hmm.
to get some pump by ourselves, but when we don't have someone that actually has walked the path and is where we want to go,
Yeah,
it gets, and I'm not saying that it's impossible, but it gets to be really tricky. And sometimes we, instead of moving faster or in the way that we want, we delay that.
absolutely. Yeah, that's why mentorship is so key, especially working with mentors who do embody truth and leadership and authenticity because they've been there before. They can hold you. And I hold my clients through so many situations where I'm like, yeah, I went through that. I went through that last week. I went through that last year. I went through that 5 years ago, but I've been through it, or something similar. And there's so much power when we can just step into a space where there is a very stable energy. And that's why energetics to me is so important, that I hold stability for my clients. And that's why I really treat my energetic practices with such care and intention, because they hire me for that. They hire me to hold stable ground because they're going to get the wobbles. We all do at times. So yeah, very important.
And the second part of the trifecta, and this is like you use language that really activates. I really love it.
Yes, I love my words.
And it sounds like this sounds like that, but it really activates me. It doesn't calling me like, oh, you're doing this wrong, or just like, actually, it's really activating. And I think
Mm,
that is what as leaders or women that I do have almost 5 years in this business, we want
yeah,
like that. I mean, maybe at first we
yeah,
want to call us out, right, with all bullshit, but when you are leading a company, you want someone that is activating the things within you, that is actually
absolutely.
that is actually a partnership. It's no longer like I'm above you and I'm not going to
Yes.
actually someone that can hold the power and see me as a leader and see me in my highest potential and don't treat me as a, and I don't like this, but well, I know many women like love this. Like I don't like some when someone call me like queen or babe or like
Mm-hmm.
call me by my name. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like that, right? The other
Yeah,
people,
yeah. No, I get that. I get
but
that. Yeah.
going back to the activation, when this part of the trifecta, which is luxury identity, like this feels so fucking expansive and right.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the things that I've been seeing with my clients, that when we are entering into a new level, or we are actually being called to having more, like sometimes
Mm,
people want to explain that. And it's
mm.
like, well, I'm doing this because I love my clients. That is a non-negotiable. I think that if you are a coach, mentor, provider, you are here, you have a gift. You know
Yeah,
that it's that you want to provide, but it also is good to have this to fully own what are you being called into, and if that is luxury, that is more money, it's just fully own it. And I think
yeah,
that,
absolutely.
yeah, without any explanation, I think as I do have some of my friends are just men that are doing amazing things. They don't explain themselves, but as a woman, I think there's still conditioning of explaining why.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And connecting it to, because I have a good heart. It's like if you know that you have a good heart, you just move in that frequency. People just feel that. And we don't need to explain the
Yeah.
why behind it. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And, the identity piece for me is really looking overall, again, very holistically at the woman that I'm walking beside and co-creating with. And looking at, firstly, where are you playing at the level that maybe has come from a past conditioning that now you're ready to elevate and you actually do desire more. And I call it in my world more upon more, because we're
Mhm.
living in a state of constant expansion. Our universe is constantly expanding, our souls are constantly expanding, and yet our human self will try to, kind of keep it limited and contained. And I think there's such beauty in going beyond the desire. So this is where I always say to my clients, let's 10x, let's go 10 times what you come in with and start to play in that energy, because it actually activates something, right? I find a lot of my clients have this patterning. A lot of them go through a patterning of maybe not like a freeze response, but sort of this stop and start energy in their businesses or in their work. And usually it's because they're not doing what excites them. They're sort of holding those status quo goals. I
Yeah.
want the 10K month or whatever it might be. And that's great. But then it's like, have you been holding on to that for
How
two
many years?
years? Yeah. And now you're actually, the momentum happens when you tap into your God self and follow what that is. Like, where's your excitement? Where's your activation? And it's why my work continually evolves. And I feel we all do if we allow it to, right? Because there's something so beautiful and magnetic about going to the next chapter and the next level and like, seeing what else is to come forward. But with the identity piece, we really apply that not just to who she is. And as I said at the start, her beliefs, her self-concept, how she carries herself, how she speaks her truth, her gifts. But we then apply that to the business. So the identity of the business gets an up level and an elevation. And many of my clients come to me and they're unclear in their message or their offers, or things are working but not quite thriving. And we elevate, not just who she is, but the brand gets an elevation, the offerings, the price points, and the client then match to that. So there is this shift in clientele that comes in. So really
Yeah,
beautiful.
I love that so much. And when it comes, like you said, to elevate or identity, self-image, self-concept, also comes with the part of the business as well, because sometimes we can feel like we are in another level, but if we keep playing with the same tools, playing with the same containers, at one point
Yeah.
it will not work out. I did
Yeah.
this a couple of days. I think it was a couple of days ago, like last week. I think it was last week that I felt in the first weeks of this year. I launched a 5-week program, and that 5-week program, I felt like it felt exciting, but I was like, when you have something, but that it's just like, well, it could serve me maybe for a tool that I can add to my one-on-ones, or but
Right.
one part it felt like off, but I was like, no,
Mm,
this sounds amazing. And two women, they were saying, yeah, yeah, I want to be part of this container. So, and I was like, why only two? I didn't question myself, but I was like, this is kind of interesting. I would
mm,
say that. I didn't judge
yeah.
the number. I was like, this, oh, it's because, and I back engineered it, and it was like, because it felt off. It was
Mm,
like
hmm.
something that I wanted to add as a powerful tool, but I didn't feel
Right.
I wanted just to put this out there. And you know the excitement when it comes to when you have something really, really amazing. And after that, so we finished the 5 weeks, and I was like, what is this calling me to? It's actually, oh, maybe an evergreen, maybe a tool to add to my one,
Right.
to have like a site, but not something that I want to like do this live or relaunch again. And it all comes back to like, oh, from what place I was acting, like when you mentioned, oh, from who I was 2020,
Mm,
or
yeah.
trying to like, I think another way to put it as well is try when we see in our offers and something is not clicking yet. Sometimes we try to stretch to
Yes.
more life to that offer.
Hmm.
It's no longer in alignment. That doesn't mean that it's bad, but it does means that you had evolved, and maybe you can grab some of the things and craft it and recreate something new, or give to your audience an evolved version of that offer, but that doesn't mean that you have to put it the same way, I think that is,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so many people are just holding that past identity, and letting that play out in their businesses. But that's when clients come to me because sales are in and out or they're not attracting the right clients. And I look at it and I can very quickly see, yeah, because you're ready to go at a new level, but you're holding on to the past. And that's
mm,
okay. And we shift that very quickly. And then there's a flow that starts to come through as you play at the level that you want to. Because you'll be in frequency, in energetic congruence, I call it, with the clients that are also at that level, right? So, yeah, it's a very exciting thing to witness when clients move through that because there's always a big ascension that happens and a new standard that's embodied for them.
yeah. One of the things that I want to highlight as well, because I've been having a lot of conversations regarding this, when we are deciding and choosing a new level of consciousness or identity, sometimes we are in the middle, I will say. We have one foot on the new identity and the other one in
Yep.
the fall. And that is when we feel the push, the
Yeah.
inner push and pull. And that could be really like tedious as fuck. I mean, you get so
Hmm.
tired because
It's
you want
draining.
something, you feel like half and half. I was having this conversation with this client.
Yeah.
I feel like two women are inside of me, like one of the new,
Yeah.
the other one. And and she was like, how I reconcile this, like how I can make her
Mm,
understand that. And I was like, well, there could be so many ways, but one of the things is what I asked her, what is the payoff of to being in the other one? What is the payoff? What
mm,
is the thing that you're resisting? Maybe it's a fear of this, or, and like you mentioned, we start cleaning some things, and we realize that when we do this work, we get to align fully with the new frequency, because
mhm.
we're in the middle. It's like having this, I love to bring this analogy as well, like this radio, we're changing channels, and in between it's wobbly, it's kind of,
Yeah.
but when we arrive to the new one, the music that it gets to be played in that and station is gonna be the music that you're choosing, but in between it feels really awful. Like I will say that.
Yes. Absolutely. And it's so true though. There's something that's serving us at the current level. And then once you understand that, there's just a fear or a story of what might happen if I went in 2 feet in, I call it 2 feet in to the next level. When I work with my clients, often what they see is those stories don't have any energy to them because we start to pull them apart.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not even theirs. It was never theirs. And then we activate God's self and divinity, and then it's this absolute just momentum forward. And I have so many clients say, okay, I'm in. And they are, and they really do just stand and hold their ground. Of course, we get a little bit of the wobbles as it integrates, but many of them are just, okay, let's go. Because you start to see how much we're carrying that isn't ours to carry.
Yeah, one of the things that I would love, if I would love to bring your point of view when when we're in the middle, like I said, we acknowledging that maybe a part of the story that I'm telling to myself is serving me at the current level, and we're deciding when, like you said, we disassemble the whole story and we see that it doesn't make any sense, or we are now becoming aware of that and we choosing to move forward. But there's so many times, and I see time to time with clients and also on my case,
Mhm.
that it's not even a story, it's an emotional thing,
Yeah.
an emotion that is has been there for years.
A
Sometimes
trapped emotion. Yeah.
sometimes it's like feeling really angry towards mom or dad, and you're a grown-up woman. It's like, I don't know, I really have an amazing relationship with my mother, with my father. But when we go deeper, we see like, well, no, I mean, we have some kind of charge. And when that happens, I've been, like I said, I had experiences with clients and also with myself, like when we're all having this beautiful relationship, or at least I'm not saying that this means that you are really talking with every single day at the phone. It doesn't mean that. But when you accept what it was, the relationship that maybe you had with your father when you were a kid, when you have fully accept your father and your mother, or it could be with another time, maybe when you're with your grandfather, or it could be with your
Hmm.
ex. When you fully accept it, it's like you're no longer entangled with our energy.
Yeah.
You're no longer, and the visual that comes to my mind when we have this kind of situation, and this is actually stopping the business, because
Hmm.
we it's like we had allowed part of our energy being in still in that specific moment. And when we recall that, when we've healed this relationship, when we accept what it was, we call our energy back.
100%. Absolutely. And a lot of the time it is just allowing a safe space with a mentor or with a healer to release that trapped emotion, to
Yeah.
express it fully, and to then, as you said, bring in that acceptance. Once the acceptance comes in, then the emotion starts to shift into neutrality. And once we're in that neutral space and seeing the higher perspective of everything, and we're not, as you said, we're not courted, we're not connected to a past timeline. I always sort of see when I work with clients, energy cords a lot when I do a lot of distant energy work and wealth work with clients as well in between sessions. And I see a lot of cords to people and who they're connected with. And when we clear those, again, it's just activating more of their own being and their own divinity and their own power. And it's, yeah, there's something really beautiful that does impact the business. Of course, it's all connected, it's all one energy. So,
Yeah.
mm,
And I love the fact that you bring in this visual as well of the course, because it's
yeah,
like we're giving away our energy here, energy there. And when
yeah,
we try to be in another timeline and a new frequency, those like invisible cores are just holding us
yeah.
back. Like, hey,
Hmm.
remember me? I'm here.
Yep.
It's
Hmm.
essential to also do this work. And like you mentioned in the first minutes of this episode, the energy work is, I think, is the 80% of the work. I'm telling you,
100%.
it is. And sometimes like
100%.
energy, I mean, strategy is key, and having a proper structure that is going to hold you. That is a non-negotiable as well. But I think that will come really easy, or you can,
Mm,
and I'm not denying that a strategy and having a container is essential. But if we don't do this work, we can have the best tools, we can have the best strategy, we can
yeah,
have the mentor, but it's not going to work out. I promise you that.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's always energy and identity first. And it leads the strategy. The
Yeah.
strategy is easier. It's
Yeah.
clearer. We don't spend so much time going, what's the missing thing? It's like, oh, there it comes from that because of who I choose to be. So,
Yeah.
mm,
One of the examples that recently I will say, because I didn't choose to bring this analogy all the time, but it's like if you go into the gym, like I used to be a bodybuilder back in 2017. So I know that every diet, every exercise, even eating a sticker before the competition works, but
yeah.
you are being, that is the key
Mm,
for everything. Because if you don't
yeah.
see yourself as that competitor, you can do the diet, you can do the exercises, but something is off, and you will go back,
Yeah.
will back, find a way to find those pounds or to get into, or something
Yeah.
happens
Yeah.
out there. But
Mm,
when you do, like we mentioned before, when we do the energy work, consciously or unconsciously, we are aligning with this, because sometimes for me it was unconscious before. I just
yes.
I just saw like I want that, and I didn't saw the obstacles. I was just like, this is my thing, and I was attracting people in situations. But the diet that I was using or exercises were really working because I identify myself with that woman. But if
Right.
you don't do
Yeah.
the energy work consciously, the other part is gonna be like useless, like we said.
Yeah, absolutely. Identity first always and energy first. So yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. Hmm.
And the third part of the trifecta right here, when it comes to the $1 million messaging, I will love if you could extend a little bit more because sometimes even the word million for me excite me. I mean, for me it's like it's turning me on, like there's some people's like millions is here like I don't know, maybe the 6 figure year, and that's okay. I mean,
Hmm.
not many, or some of them they will say, well, I don't want the $1 million like I don't know, like year or
Yeah.
a couple millions, and that's okay. But for the
Yeah.
people that really excite us, like um when it comes to the messaging, like how is your approach to or what is the steps that you take your client into when she is now working on her energy, working
Hmm.
on her self concept, and she knows that that 20% it has to match as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, we always want to look at what does she actually desire to be doing, right? Because
Mhm.
a lot of my clients come to me and they've built a business to this point, but there's actually a probably a new level of their body of work that they really want to stand in. Can I really say that? Can I really be seen in that? So that's the very first thing that we look at is aligning their messaging to exactly what they want to be known for and exactly who they want to call in as their clients, because that alone gives us a point of focus that is so clear. And it also then allows the messaging to flow in such a bigger way. And so when I tap into $1 million messaging, to me, that means creating, like if you can see your message, creating the next $1 million, whether that comes in 1 year, whether that comes in the next 2 to 3 years, or
Mhm.
beyond that, it's can this message, every word I speak, be a command of what I'm creating? And that's what we come into. Every word I speak is a command of what I'm creating. And that is setting the trajectory of what's to come in my life and what I'm calling in. From a strategic perspective, as I said, we get really clear on who is the client you want and how do you want to speak to that client. So you said to me before, my words are really activating. And
Yeah.
that's because I don't speak to pain. I don't speak to the victim. I don't speak to the woman who thinks she needs fixing, because she doesn't. And I speak to the woman like you and I who we're doing the work, and this is not new to us, right? But we want to be empowered. We want to feel activated. We want to feel like we can be held to a higher level and reminded of that when we get the wobbles or when we have a bad day or whatever it might be. We want to feel something beyond even this world. And that's what I have my clients reflect to me a lot of the time, is that I bring them beyond this world, a bigger mission. But we really want to get clear on who that client is. And then I do a lot of actually done with you content with my clients in my masterminds and in my private. I love to actually review copy and review content and reword things and kind of offer suggestions of how we could get quite strategic with inviting that person into working with them. Because a lot of the time, what I see is there's just a lack of ownership of how amazing this woman is. My clients often come to me and other people are making all this money doing similar work, but it's just because they're owning it in a different way. And so
Yeah.
my clients are healers, light workers, creatives, designers, coaches, mentors, but so many of them are coming and they're feeling like they're not fully expressing that. And so the $1 million messaging angle is really about ownership and
Love it.
coming into your channel and coming into what's coming through you, not looking at what everyone else is creating, and creating something intentional that matches the identity of who you choose to be and matches the client that you want to call in. And
Mm.
of course, we play with the energy of that, but we also do get strategic with looking at the copy and looking at the content there. And it's one of those pieces that I love to create for my clients, because it really is often that missing piece of all the activation and energy work, but how do we now strategically position this so that
Uh,
there's a match? Yeah.
I have to say it here when you mentioned about activation, that word has come in the last few weeks, and sometimes we don't even realize. We think like, well, like we're doing the work, and we don't see the ripple effect of the live work until
Yeah.
that message comes or that client review comes. And I, in the last 2 weeks, I did have two of them. One of them, she's competing for a I think it's called magazine Cover Girl magazine. So she's like
Hmm.
competing for that. And we'd have a conversation, and I wanted to bring in this because it's correlated with the activation. Did have this conversation back on October, and she was like, "Well," and I asked her, "Do you want to compete again?" I said, "For 2025," and she said, "Well, I don't know. I did already compete for 2024," and she got to the I think it were the quarters, and the last she got in the fourth place or something like that. She was like, "I don't know, like maybe not." And I was like, why not? I mean, you believe in your message, you believe in the new
Mm.
program that you're creating. Why not? I mean, she's 58 and she has an amazing, beautiful body. It's like, why do you are
Yeah.
not deciding to do this again? You already have all the tools in that. And it's like, well, I'm just, and she was like, kind of like, I felt like I was just pushing one of the buttons, and I was like, well, let's
Yeah.
try that. So in less than a month, she came and she said, you don't want to believe this. I decided just to go and just submit again. And after that, a company she was trying, she said in like for almost 8 years to just to be part of the company, not as ambassador, but being like 50-50 or something like that about
Yeah.
that they contact me and they
Mm.
and she's gonna invest in all those things. I don't know the details, but she said I don't know what you did, like, but after that conversation, you pushed something in me that really bothers
Yeah.
me in that one sense, but another one
Yeah.
activate me. So she did that. So she's now competing. This year she's in a lot of podcasts and all that. Do that message. So the other one,
Yes.
this lady came and she's from Australia. She said, and we have the conversation last year as well. She said after our conversation, you asked me this question: what this, what if I'm remaining this company and with this relationship, why this is serving me? And I was like, well,
Mm.
I just asked for that. She left her relationship of 9 years. She removed all she used to be like a sales marketing and something like that. She was like
Hmm.
in that space. She removed her entire business. She is now with their partner, another partner that she said he's a coach as well. She's rebuilding the business and she's like, I'm
Yeah.
living in my life. You activate something inside me. And I was like, what? It's like I didn't thought about the potency of the life work. But
Yeah.
sometimes we don't see those until someone highlighted. And like you mentioned
Yes.
here, it's owning those parts that we don't know, well, we do know that we have, but we don't want to sound like I'm too much or like
Hmm.
it's natural for us. So it's really amazing to see when you acknowledge or when someone is coming back again, again and again and again with this word, how that, and by owning it, how your message can change and the people that you get to attract that are just healthy.
Yeah.
I call it, are there like in Latin America, we eat mango, so it's, I don't know, like really, really, really juicy mango. So I call it,
Yeah.
we have the right message, or when we have the right energy, when we're in tune with the people that want to serve, people get to come and it's so easy. It's not never like forced. And like you mentioned, are women that are not new in the game, are women that are really have clear what
Yeah.
they want
Absolutely. Hmm.
and they want to co-create. They don't want to be like led from a woman that feels like it's more than her, but it feels like it's a co-creation, it's a partnership.
Absolutely. Yeah. We don't want to be told what to do, or,
I hate
we can ask for guidance. We can ask for guidance and reflections. And I love when my clients and I do that. It's like, yeah, I've moved through that, just, but I think the powerful thing as well that I'm picking up from those examples is that you just said it directly, what you were seeing, and really inviting them into their power. And when we do that, our clients, because they're emotionally intelligent women, they can take that and they can receive that information, even if it might feel like an activation or a bit of a, oh, really? I don't know, that was quite direct, but they can take that and they will apply it and they'll
Mhm.
create magic from it. And that's the type of mentorship that I love as well. Like, just, I don't want any fluff. Just tell me directly what you think and what you feel, and let's co-create together. Because that's where the results are facilitated, you know, and that's where the biggest transformation happens. So yeah.
Yeah, and I love so much about you that you are clarifying this, that to go into the point, because sometimes we get it, and this is one of the things I used to like be like, I mean, the good girl energy that
Yeah.
I feel like all really light, and like having the, they bring this example of the having this sticker of the smiley face and just treating
Yeah.
someone, and I reflect back on myself. It's like, do you really like when someone treats you like that? It's like, no, fuck no.
Exactly.
Like, I hate
Exactly.
it when someone, I act by suggestion, but I don't like when someone just trying to impose, or like, oh, poor you,
Mm.
or you're struggling. It's like, I'm not struggling, bitch. I'm thriving. I'm just wanna,
Yeah.
excuse my language here. I was like,
Yeah.
I want to co-create, and I see something that you have that I want to have. Like, and I,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I think this is the new wave of mentorship and this new consciousness coming into our industries right now is we want to feel empowered. We don't want to be spoken to like there's something missing or wrong or like that you're above or we're behind or whatever it is. Everyone's on their own timeline. Whenever I look at, you know, the sort of hierarchy that can happen, I always see it as, well, everyone's on their own timeline. So we can't actually be ahead of anyone. We can't
oh,
be behind anyone. We're on
that's
in our entire divine timeline. It's only ours. It's only our experience. And that's why co-creation gets to be really powerful, working with mentors like you and I, because we're empowering our clients and there is no hierarchy and we walk shoulder to shoulder. And there's
I love
something
that.
so beautiful in that. Yeah. It really excites me to see the work that women like us are creating in this world. Mm.
And, and I love really, really this example that you gave us, this visual. I'm really visual. When you said, I mean, you're not even behind. I mean, you're on in your own
Yeah.
timeline, you're playing your own game. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just co-creation. And when we feel like we're behind or something, or above or whatever, it's because we are comparing with or journey with somebody
Yeah.
else. We don't even know their
Exactly.
background. So it's like betraying our soul if we're doing that. But
Hmm.
when we have someone like you that is actually highlighting, like it's highlights, and it's like, hey, this is what is going on, and it's really direct, but it's at the same time, one of the things that I really seeing you, Jenna, is that you're really direct, but also really, 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 I think three words: direct, honest, and loving. Like, you're
Thank
not
you.
gonna take my bullshit, but you're also gonna
Yeah.
just treat me really well. You're not gonna say, you know what, you're doing this wrong, Graciela. And at the same time, when we have this blend is when things get to work, because
Absolutely.
we feel seen, we don't feel judged, we don't feel like, oh, she's
Hmm.
more than me. It's just like, it's a co-creation.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. Thank you for reflecting that. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, those three words, like really direct, because like we do require that directness. We don't.
Yes.
For me, on my case, I'm only speaking on my case, because there's people that they really love when someone call them babe or queen. For me, it's like, no. I mean, you're not my boyfriend. You're my, like, you are. Don't call me babe. Don't make me feel good. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
tell me the
Love
truth.
that.
Tell me the truth. Like, really direct, but it's really honest as well. Like, if I'm
Yes.
something that you know that I can just craft, reframe, and it's gonna help me, tell me. Like, I'm really like, oh,
Mm.
at the same
Hmm.
time, loving as well. Like, no, like, not,
Yes. Of
hey, you're doing
course.
this
Yeah.
wrong, Graciela. You have no remedy. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm the same. That's how I like to communicate. That's how I like to hold space. But I also like to be in co-creation with mentors and coaches that are like that too. And that's why I'm quite picky with who I work with. Picky and intentional is a better word for that,
yeah, yeah,
because there is so much of that in the industry. And I think, you know, we're mature women, we're emotionally intelligent women. We're here to create companies that are in service to the world. And yeah, we just love the direct, loving communication. So absolutely.
yeah. And like I said, you really embody those, like direct,
Thank
love,
you.
honest. Like, I like,
Thank you.
because if you're like just really, like really direct, but you don't have this blend of honesty and
Mm,
loving, is kind of you're just pure loving. It's like, no, thank you. Like, I don't want you to
yeah.
be best friend. I love the friendship that we can co-create, but in the first months, I want you to be really direct and help me, and
Right.
love me and treat me, and not impose me. It's just, let's create. And I think it comes to this could apply for every single relationship, like
Mm,
with a partner, with our kids. We don't want to be just really loving. We can be really also direct with them, having this
yeah,
beautiful blend. Jen,
absolutely.
this podcast was fantastic. Like, the second part is just She's amazing. And I really love, like I said, emphasizing this trifecta method because you're, like we mentioned a couple of times, you're bringing to the woman this holistic approach. You're not
Yeah.
only focusing on the spiritual side or just, do the meditations, put your crystals in your bra and just do nothing. Like you you really, like I said, I see it in that way. We can be just like really into that and doing nothing, or
Hmm.
integrating the other parts that are going to help you
Absolutely.
to step into the version that you've been calling this season, but also to create this beautiful business that is get to support you, that you get to co-create with that and having
Yeah.
an income, living living in the way that you really want to live.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for reflecting that. This has been a great conversation. I loved it. Part two.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I was
Yeah,
checking part one, and I think this has evolved. I will say that because the other one it was
beautiful.
good for their time as well.
Yeah.
Jenna, if you can share with the audience where they can find you, and we're gonna make sure they put the information as well here, and what are the ways that they can co-create with you?
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. So my key social media platform that I'm always on is Instagram. So Instagram at jennablack.co. So come and find me there. Send me a message if you listen to the interview. And then my website, jennablack.co, is where all of my offerings are. I've got a couple of signature spaces right now. The Source is my brand new monthly members club. So I've just created a new home, a beautiful, exquisite home for women to gather together and have access to my teachings, my audio drops that I do twice a week, and then also community on Telegram there. And that's really the body of work and the woman of wealth trifecta being taught. And then the second space is the Maison, which is my signature inner circle. And that's where we actually work in an intimate group, but it's a hybrid of private work and group work, accessing the woman of wealth trifecta and really going through my signature methodology and applying that to their businesses to look at 2xing and 10xing their income, but also doing that from everything we've spoken about today, the beautiful identity work and energetics, and really embodying that woman of wealth frequency. So the Source and the Maison are the key spaces, but anyone can message me anytime on Instagram and have a chat about private work as well, because that's another addition as well that we can look at. So message me anytime and we can always see where would be the best fit.
And I really love the way that you put it, in different levels of commitment. I will say that because it's
Mm-hmm.
only the investment is the commitment, and
Yeah.
having the accessibility to choose what it's calling you for this season. And I love the fact that in the inner circle, if I can call it inner circle mastermind,
Mm.
for the one-on-one touch, because it's really nice
Mm-hmm.
to have this being in a part of the mastermind. But when you have even a 20-minute 15-minute, or I don't know how it's
Yeah.
working in your world, this kind of support is when you get to share some things that you don't want to share fully in the
Yeah.
mastermind, which is okay, and that make it so really really powerful. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I love the hybrid. It's always powerful because we can get there quicker and really facilitate some incredible transformation. We have that hybrid of private and group. So,
yeah, I love that so much.
mm,
I think we asked you the last time as well this question, but we add another question. So I'm going to ask you two questions before we wrap
okay.
up. Jenna, what is your superpower and what it will be the word for 2025? Maybe your word is evolve, it's going to be growth, it's going to be divinity, what
Hmm.
it will be.
Hmm. So my superpower, well, I
Got it.
feel my superpower is really seeing the highest power in every single person. So I can quite literally see that highest expression of their God self. I can feel and see their true divinity. And I think that as a power is always creating this incredible mirror effect in my spaces because I can go straight to their source frequency and who they really are. So that is my superpower that I apply to all relationships in my life and every person that I engage with. Um, and then my word this year is really powerful. It is being in power and being embodied in my power, not from an egoic space, but from a deep soul activation and seeing that higher vision of everything. So that's the word that I've been moving with so far this year, and it's definitely been coming through. It's always interesting when you choose a word and then you start to see that ripple into decisions and choices. And yeah, it's just powerful is really the word for the year.
Yeah, I have to add to and I really love your superpower and the word of power itself for the year, but I would really love to enhance about your superpower. I think the difference between last year and this year, I felt like, God knows, I felt really those three words, like I said, really direct, honest, and loving. I really love that
Mhm.
combo. I really love it. I think that is really powerful. And the other one, I just felt like you're really the kind of mentor that every single one of us want to work with. Let me tell you
Mm,
why. Because during this interview, this podcast episode, I just felt really how you were able to maintain this beautiful, pristine energy. I didn't feel like
thank
sometimes
you.
like at minute 40, minute 30, you feel the drop. I didn't feel that with you. And this is the first,
Oh, thank
I have to
you.
say that. And this is the first time that I was able to witness a woman that is just really with this strong, steady, beautiful
Hmm.
energy. And
Hmm.
like you at the same time, it's not just only the beauty and feeling nice. Like I said, it's like I don't want someone to feel me just I don't want someone just to allow me to feel good. But you also have this, like I said, this power, and also this you trust me, this sense of not only, I will say, not authority, but authority and also partnership, if that makes sense.
Mm, yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you for reflecting that. That's definitely something that I have reflected by clients a lot of the time is that pristine energy and just holding that stability and neutrality as well, right?
yeah.
So I'm
And I
not sort
think,
of up and down in my emotional range when I'm with clients. I'm really holding space for them so that they can be the full openness and the expression. And yeah, so thank you. I really appreciate hearing that.
and as well, right here, just to wrap, I can feel as well, and we mentioned this in a few parts of the interview, this language where you are activating people. I just felt really activated when we talk about the identity, when we talk about the millions, when we talk about the next level, and you mentioned about 10x. I ask my clients, let's 10x this. It's
Yeah.
really, you have this energy that is really also inviting and really activating. So
Yeah.
that is, and I don't know if it's gonna sound weird, but that is really delicious when it comes from a mentor, someone that really activates
Mm.
in a good way. Like that could be that for me. And
Hmm.
when we act from that place, like you and we mentioned before, together with having this steady, beautiful energy and being
Yeah.
honest and loving is the perfect combo. So I just
Yeah.
really
Thank you.
love it so
I
much.
appreciate that. Oh, beautiful to hear. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jenna. This was amazing. And for all of you that are listening to this episode, we want to make sure that we want to put all the links here. In that way, you have the opportunity to, because I think that is what we do. We bring opportunities to other women to
Mm,
increase their own lives. We want to put the opportunities that Jenna currently have. Also, check her website as well. So Jenna has a website as well. So if you want to learn more
thank you.
about her, it could be an amazing opportunity as well for you. And just to be part of this woman world, like I said, she's amazing. And you can tell, even if you only listen to this via Spotify or Apple, you can tell uh, how this woman it's I will say that. Thank you so much, and
Thank you.
we'll see you in the next